I heard that they have a nickname for me called the European Weishao. I'm hoping that we will be able to get through this group and make it to the best of 5 at least.
В этом году все сложнее, от нас много чего ожидают, поэтому каждый будет готовиться.
저희가 조가 엄청 쉽게 걸렸다고 생각하거든요. 경쟁력 너무 없다 생각해서 다 이기고 올라갈 거고.
最近状态算还可以吧，至少可以走到16强。
Creo que podemos hacerle frente a cualquier rival y bueno, me gustaría demostrarlo este año.
I would like to verse Team WE because the crowd would be crazy and I'd love to shut the crowd up.
지금 상태를 보면 저는 지금 4강 갔으면 좋겠어요.
Obviamente eu espero passar da fase de grupo, é o mínimo que eu quero para mim.
Tenemos mucho por mejorar, pero creo que estamos bien para este torneo. Si viajamos tanto, venimos a ganar y vamos a tratar de dar lo mejor.
僕たちがどのぐらい強いか、それを見せるためになんか上のグループステージまで頑張ります。
Riêng bản thân em thì em rất háo hức khi mong ngày đến ngày thi đấu.
我觉得只要打好队伍的特点，完全可以赢下任何一支队伍。欢迎来到武汉，希望大家尽情的享受比赛。
好的，现场所有英雄联盟的召唤师们，让我感受一下你们的热情，好吗？好的，非常棒！这里是中国武汉，欢迎来到2017全球总决赛入围赛。
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Worlds 2017. This is Daniel Dracos, joined by Mark Zimmerman and Aiden Zyrene Moon. You're getting a view of the Wuhan Sports Center Gymnasium, where Chinese broadcast host Ren Dong is introducing the players participating in the play-in stage.
I'm so excited that finally Worlds is starting. I've been waiting.
Made it, Mark.
I did it. I've been waiting for so long. Even though it's only been 2.5 weeks, it feels like forever since the regional qualifiers ended. So it's so exciting.
Yeah, I'm incredibly excited to see these play-in teams and see what they got.
And now it's time for us to look at those exact teams coming in from Group A. And first, we have to take a look at Lion Gaming.
Lion, from the LON, has 9 regional championships. They are the most domestically dominant team in the entire tournament. They have absolutely obliterated their region for years.
So good to see them again. Of course, very close battles for Lion in the past when it's come to these sort of stages, when it's come to qualifying rounds at MSI especially.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that had such a close match against Gigabyte Marines. Didn't quite get out, but there was one match separating the two.
Of course, now our next team, Gambit Gaming, once again returning to the world stage for what feels like has been an eternity.
Yeah, and they have some really historic members on their team. You see Gambit with Diamond Prox and Edward once again, but they also have incorporated some members of Albus Nox Luna in that kind of miracle run that they had last year.
And now I'm really wondering, with that veteran talent paired with the craziness that was Albus Nox Luna, what they're going to be able to do. But now we have to talk about the final team coming in, the first seed in this group, the 3rd seed from China, Team WE. You can hear the crowd just lose their mind.
Yeah, hometown representatives from the LPL. They represented the LPL at MSI. Is their first Worlds appearance in 5 years. Last time was 2012, and they were named World Elite back then. Since then, they've changed their name to WE. This is the tournament for them to earn back that title of being among the World's Elite.
Once again, the teams from Group A, excited to see these guys play today, want to know what they're going to bring to the table. It's a new patch, it's a new meta, and there's so much to see. But now we have to take it to the next step. We have to look forward as we get ready for the teams from Group B. And this is yet another one I think will be closely contested. First up is, of course, the Direwolves coming in from Oceania, the OPL, and these guys, I think, a surprise appearance once again on the international stage.
Yeah, I mean, they're a very old org in the Oceanic region, but they retooled really heavily in 2016, rebuilt their roster, and now for 2 splits in a row, they have won their region, and they represent them at MSI, and once again, here at the World Championship.
And of course, as we move forward, as we look to the next team, eyes on them, but old rivals of Oceania and the OPL, none other than the CB LoL and Team 1 Esports. If you want to talk about surprise appearances on the stage, Team 1 are definitely a solid case.
absolutely incredible that they've made it here. A big surprise for Brazilian fans. They joined the league in summer. This is their first split as a team, and after that one split, they were able to take down Brazil's MSI representatives of the Red Canids and the infamous Pain Gaming to get here.
Very surprising, I think, very impressive that they have made it this far. But of course, the final team to round out this group, I think a stranger to none for any of the English-speaking viewers, Cloud9, coming in as the first seed in this group, the third seed from NA.
Yeah, since Cloud9's inception, they have never missed a Worlds appearance. This is their 5th consecutive Worlds.
And the only consistent member among all 5 of those appearances is Sneaky. It's really great to see this guy on the world stage once again. Had a little bit of a rough split, but he bounced back right at the very end.
And once again, the teams of Group B. One last wave to the fans before they take their steps off. They will be playing today alongside the teams of Group A. Really wonder what they're going to show us as well. See what we have in store here at the play-in stage. Wuhan, of course, excited as ever as we turn our attention now to Group C. First up, a surprising one for many, coming in as the 2nd seed from GPL and the 2nd Vietnamese team at this tournament playing in the play-in stage, Young Generation. Such an amazing story for this region.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first ever 2nd representative from an emerging region, and that's all off the back of the work that the Gigabyte Marines had done at the Mid-Season Invitational.
And now it's time for the Vietnamese region to prove off of the Gigabyte Marines' performance. Is it just them, or is it the entire region that needs to be respected?
Yeah, and I want to know. We can have another Levi. What else have they got to show us? What kind of monster mechanical performances will we see? But that's no longer the focus, as Chaos Latin Gamers will be the next team to take the stage. And these guys have been up and down, but they definitely earned their spot this year.
Yeah, I mean, they were relegated in spring, had to fight for their spot in the promotion tournament. They stayed in the league, and now they actually won summer, and they're representing the whole region. They upset Asurus Gaming, the representative at MSI earlier in the year, so huge, like you said, bounce-back performance for them.
Of course, the final team to round it out, 3rd seed from Europe, and 1st seed in this group, it will be Fnatic, representing Europe. I'm curious to see what they can bring out here, what they can show us in the world stage.
And they are completely used to the world stage. This is their 6th Worlds appearance, only missing 2016 last year. But after that failure, they went back to the drawing board and they rebuilt around the Star 80 carry Reckless. So I'm really eager to see what happens here.
Got the synced up fingers.
They're ready. They got 3 veterans, 2 rookies. Both the rookies are there as well. They're ready. They're synced up, but Group C done. One final group remains, and there's so many groups, so many interesting stories here. But the final one I think I'm especially excited for, it is going to be Group D coming up. First team on this list, hotly contested as always from the LGL, but Rampage has made the cut this year, taking down Detonation Focus Me to earn their spot.
And it's a little bit of a redemption story here for Rampage Gaming at Mid-Season Invitational. They kind of busted out a little bit of the group stage. They did have a good bounce-back performance at Rift Rivals, and they're looking to kind of continue that evolution on the international stage.
Interesting to see exactly what their roster can do as well. Dara, Tussle, Tora Moyashi, so many names here for the Japanese audience that they're excited to see. But as we look forward to our next team, this is one I think analysts have been praising, a team that people are very excited about from emerging regions, none other than the representatives from the TCL 1907 Fenerbahce.
Representing Turkey, they actually joined the league at the beginning of the year, so after 1 year as a team, they were able to take down some Turkish super teams, Supermassive, and get themselves here. And we're looking at this team as somebody that also imported some players, 2 Koreans on the roster, maybe some familiar faces here as well.
Frozen and Move, of course, stepping up onto that lineup, backed up by the veteran Cauldron. But one final team remains for the World's play-in stage, and that is none other than the 3rd seed from the LMS, Hong Kong Attitude. And this is one I want to see what these guys can do, because they surprised me when they made it here, but they definitely earned it.
You're looking at this team, first thing you see is that logo. Instant win there in my book.
It's instant crowd favorite.
Yeah, but of course the 3rd seed from the LMS, they actually surprised so many people because they had a late season surge. They placed 6th in the regular season, missed playoffs, but then they crushed in the regional qualifiers to get here.
Yeah, some people are so hyped up on this team, they're actually saying they're probably the 2nd best representative from the LMS, so this is definitely going to be a team to keep your eye on.
Yeah, putting them above AHQ, bold statements all around, but that is going to round it out. That is Group D. crowd ready now for some games.
Remember, we won't be seeing C or D until day 3 and 4. It's just groups A and B that we'll be seeing in the first 2 days.
For some final words from our host, Ren Dong. Hello once again, Daniel Dracos here alongside Mark Zimmerman and Ian Zyrene. You just heard their voices. Now you get to see their pretty faces as well. Show me, where's the Hong Kong attitude pose at?
They have so many different logos. They have a ton of them.
I love it. I know
because it's the one where they're holding the logo, you know.
Congratulations as well. This is Mark C's first Worlds appearance, not being on the alt stream.
It's a story for so many of the teams, and now Mark Z as well.
Just the poster boy for hard work and success.
Just make it out of groups this time.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll see. Let's get things rolling, though, with a refresher on what's changed coming into Worlds 2017. First up, we're starting the tournament with the addition of the play-in stage, where 12 teams fight for the remaining 4 Pool 3 spots in the group stage. You just saw them on your screen. To do that, teams will need to place in the top 2 in play-ins and win 1 best-of-5 to earn a spot in groups, which is a much tougher path than we're used to in Worlds before. Now, that is going to bring us to today's schedule, where our first game hits hometown heroes Team WE against Lion Gaming, followed by Cloud9 versus Team 1, with the remainder of Group A and B facing off in their first round robin for the rest of the day. Now, one thing to emphasize about this leg of the tournament is that there is really no room for error. Best of 1, double round robin, 4 games to prove yourself on this stage.
I mean, that's the big thing. There's only 4 games. If you have one bad draft, you have one bad day, you are suddenly looking at not only potentially not getting out of groups, but even just getting a lower seed is so detrimental in this format.
Yeah, and we heard Kira talking about it from Gambit. You don't know what's going to happen here. The guy was on Albus Nox when they played those BO1s. Rocks, Tigers going down, left and right. We're seeing teams drop. You can't drop any games here. And for me, I'm looking at those #1 seeds coming into the group, because they are kind of a shoo-in in a lot of people's minds to make the group stages. So do they show a lot here? Because you have to come in and you have to crush these teams, because you can't drop a single game, but you don't want to show too much. So it's that fine balance coming into the group stage.
Trying to figure it out, but of course, the first seed all too important. However, as we look forward, we're going to take a look at Group A and B's Best of the Rift, presented by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Now, these are the 5 players we want you to keep your eye on to steal the spotlight in Worlds. First up, I don't think it's a surprise for a lot of LPL fans, it's Team WE's Mystic.
And for those of you who are not LPL fans, this guy is potentially one of the best players in the entire tournament. He is an absolute monster in the bot lane, crushes laning phase, and transitions that perfectly into team fighting.
And the guy has the highest damage share for any AD carry in this tournament. And he comes from a league with Uzi, who is known to get funneled resources. So if you are watching Team WE, you're watching Mystic, you're watching Condi, and Mystic especially, because they put a lot of resources in him.
I want to see what he can do, but speaking of top 80 carries from regions, we've got none other than White Lotus coming in as well. Representative from the LLN, this guy has been a Titan domestically.
Yeah, I think if you've watched any MSI, you would have seen a couple huge performances out of him. You see the potential is there. Like we said before, a little unfortunate that they were in the same group as Gigabyte Marines, really held them down. They might have been able to move out if they didn't have to fight them. And overall, he just had a monster performance and why they were able to look so good.
And he's been able to dominate lane, a crushing CSD at 15 for the guy in lane phase. And I want to see if he can transition that dominance domestically to international dominance. But of course, another person who's had a great lane phase, and we want to see if he can actually transition that, is Cloud9's Jensen in the mid lane, because this guy has had an incredible season in terms of getting that all-pro NALCS mid laner, is a big catalyst for the team, and I'm watching his lane phase in particular.
Yeah, much like how a lot of WE's playstyle is funneled through Mystic, the same thing is true for C9 and Jensen. He is the huge linchpin for this team. He always smashes lane. He transitions that into huge team fights, huge Orianna shockwaves over the course of the season, and much of it comes down to who else will be able to step up around him, because you know he's going to perform.
And now I'm wondering if Contracts can step up, because when you look at that group, it's going to be tightly contested for the jungle pool. Direwolves are bringing Schernfire in. This man is so active in the early game.
Yeah, active in the early game, active with a microphone in front of his face. You said he wants to take on WE just so he can hopefully shut up the crowd. He is a guy who is a huge playmaker in and out of game, obviously. And he really does kind of lead the Direwolves in that early game. All of their early plays are keyed off of whatever he's trying to do.
Yeah, and one of the big things I'm looking forward to here is his rematch, actually, versus Contracts. Back in 2016 spring, they were both in the NA Challenger Series playing against each other as these aggressive rookie junglers, and Contracts got the better of him. So I think Schernfire is going to come out with a fire and try to take him down.
Yeah, and our last player, certainly not least, Edward coming in from Gambit Gaming, now returning to the world stage. This man has such a legacy in League of Legends.
Yeah, last seen at Worlds in 2012. He was the Thresh Prince back then, and he still is today. A huge playmaker for Gambit and a lot of how they get early leads.
Oh, the big thing to look at is just seeing him suddenly in the top side, 4 minutes in the game. Out of nowhere, he shows up, takes the 2v2 in the top lane, makes it a 3v2, able to bring in that little bit of extra CC and make a big play.
And one of the things we think about with the old school Gambit, old school Europe, was innovation, right? You think back to Genja, you think back to Darien. Now we're seeing a little bit here from Edward in terms of the roams being a little bit unpredictable, and we'll see if it actually holds up here at this time.
Yeah, you got Kira as well with the Anivia in the mid lane. Nothing short of innovation on this lineup. But of course, these are the players we expect to make their mark in our first 2 days of competition. But you can make sure to leave your mark on the competition with the newest additions to the championship line. Proceeds of the Championship Ash and Ward skins will not only contribute 25% of the purchase to the World's prize pool, but an additional 25% of the proceeds will be donated to charity. And of course, you can unlock the Championship Ash Chroma through the World's missions, which will be available through all of Worlds. But, however, as we look forward, gentlemen, I want a moment to think a little bit about Groups A and B. Of course, I think it's an easy bet for a lot of people to just look at those seed ones, but what is the upset potential here when we look at some of these teams?
I mean, each group is a little different. I think sometimes you're looking at, might there be an upset at the first seed position, and sometimes you're looking at who might be the other team to get out. Group A is an example where, like, WE is so dominant and it has 2 great teams behind it. It's going to be a really tough battle to see who can actually get that second seed, as opposed to some other groups where there might be a big upset at the 1 seed.
Yeah, if there's an upset in the 1 seed, it completely changes what the outlook of the group is. But looking at that number 2 seed, because 2 teams make it out of each group, remember? So I'm looking at those other teams in those groups to see if there's a really big standout that's kind of overlooked here. My mind kind of goes to, you know, Gambit, what's going to happen there, what's going to happen with Fenerbahce or 1907, you know? Different year.
Gotta get the date right. Gotta get the date right, man.
But like, what happens with these teams? Because when you make it out of these play-in groups, you end up in a best of 5. That's single elimination. There is no saving you there. And if one team that's supposed to be a number 1 ends up number 2, you could be looking at something like a Fnatic versus Cloud9 to get into the group stage.
Yeah, and the interesting difference to me is that we start with best of 1, right? And the strength that you have in best of 1 doesn't always transition to best of 5. So the team that might be best in a 5 could not find a way if they can't find that same strength in the best of 1.
I think the big thing, too, is that there's always the World's meta to kind of figure out, and it's one of those situations here where some teams are coming in with crazier picks. You were talking a little bit about, you know, some of these teams, and they're playing things like the Anivia mid, they're playing things like the Ziggs mid, and there's these different play styles, and if you're a team like Fnatic and C9, they usually play more standard, so you can have this big clash of styles in that best of 1 as well.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot about playing your style. You prepare for your opponents, of course, but you have to play your style, and you can't let the other team really dictate it, because you can't drop a single game.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what that style looks like. Without further ado, let's kick off Worlds 2017 by sending it over to the casters. Take it away, Captain Flowers.
Hello.